previous lesson we talked about the rotation of the earth. So now I want us to talk about the revolution of the earth. How does the earth revolves? So you remember that I said the earth is divided into two halves. We call these halves hemispheres. So we've got the north and the south, north and southern hemisphere. So also the earth has got an imaginary line which we call the earth axis. So there is an imaginary line. There is the imaginary line. There is the imaginary line which we call the earth axis, which also divides the earth into two halves. Now, as the earth is moving around the sun on its orbit, so this is the path of our earth, which we call the orbit. People here on earth receives different amount of heat from the sun. Let us look at the position of the earth when it is here. When the earth is here, you will notice that if this was a half like that, you will notice that areas which are in the north, because the north, here's the north, even here is still the northern part of the earth. So people here in the northern hemisphere are receiving a lot of sunlight, while people here on the south, so this is the south starts from here, so people here on the south are receiving less sunlight. So the northern hemisphere is experiencing a summer season. So it is summer here in the north because the northern hemisphere is receiving a lot of heat. Yet here in the south is far away. You see, the south is far away from the sun, so it is cold here. People in the southern hemisphere are having a winter season, while people here on the northern hemisphere are having a summer season, because the north is closer to the sun when the earth is here on its orbit around the sun. So as the earth is moving, you will realize that at some point it will be there. When you look at the southern hemisphere is now closer to the sun, and the northern hemisphere is far away from the sun. So when the earth is here on its orbit around the sun, people on the southern hemisphere are having, so this is the all this part is the south, so people here are having a summer season. But people here on the north, you can see that the north is now far away from the sun, so it's very cold. So here people will be having a winter season. So when people here in the north are having a winter season, as the earth is moving here, they will be having a spring season. Then from spring, the people from the north will then have a summer season. From summer season, here the people from the north here will be experiencing autumn. From autumn, winter, and so on and so forth. So the people in the southern hemisphere here are having a winter season. So from winter, here the south is experiencing a spring season. From spring, we go summer. From summer, here the people in the south will be experiencing and the autumn season. So when it is summer in the southern part of the earth, or in the southern hemisphere, it is winter in the northern hemisphere. When it is autumn in the southern hemisphere, it is spring in the northern hemisphere. So the changing of the seasons is as a result of the earth's revolution. So it takes about 365 and a quarter days for the earth to move from this position around the sun and come back to this position. So it takes 365 and a quarter days, which is equals to 1 year, So the movement of the earth that results to the 4 seasons of the year is called revolution. The earth revolves around the sun on its orbit. It takes the earth 365 and a quarter days to complete 1 revolution. So that's all about the revolution of the earth.